In the previous video, we saw how without webworker, the main thread was occupied with the calculation, and that was making our web page unresponsive. So now in this video, we'll actually solve the problem by making a thread that will be a worker thread, and we'll let the thread to do the heavy lifting for the calculation. Okay, so let's start. So basically we need to create a thread. Okay, so I'll create a worker.js file. Okay, it is a plain JS file, nothing else is there. Okay, now we'll make a worker instance from the interface of worker. Okay, where it takes the file. Okay, the file name which we want to have a dedicated processing unit as its parameter. So it's worker.js. Now we have made a worker. Now what? How should we communicate with it? So let's do basic thing. Let's communicate with it, and then we'll do the heavy lifting. Okay. Now there is a method post message. Okay, hi from main thread. What this post message does? So this post message is bi-directional in nature. What does that mean? So post message, if we are using in a main thread, for example, right now we are using it main thread. So if you are using the post message in the main thread, it sends a message from main thread to the worker thread, the worker in our case, that is this file. And if we'll use the post message from the worker thread, it will send the message to the main thread. Okay, that's fine. Now that is fine, but if this is sending the message in the main thread to worker thread, so how should we receive them? There should be a way to receive, right? So there is a event on message. Okay, there is an event which gets executed, okay, when there is a post message called from anywhere. If this is a post message called from a main thread, then the on message in the worker thread will be executed, and vice versa. If the post message is called from the worker thread, the on message in main thread will be called. Let's see the example. So we are using the post message in the main thread. That means on message of worker thread will be executed. So let's just simply log hello from worker thread. Okay, that's the simplest example. Let's save it, and let's try to run it. Refresh. See, hello from worker thread. Okay, now, well, this is working, right? Let's just comment this out. Let's see if it really is sending a message or it is just getting executed. So see, there is no execution without sending any message. So we have to send a message, and then only we'll get the result as hello from the worker thread. So basically this is sending the message. This main thread is sending the message, and this worker thread is getting called. On message is getting called because there was a message posted from the main thread. Now, but hold on, this hi from main thread, is there a way to access this, the anything that is sent inside the post message? Can we get access to message? So yes, we can get the access to message. We'll print log. Okay, so we get a hold of the message by event.data. Okay, so event.data is something that prints the message that was sent from the post message method. So I'll say received message from main thread. Since we are in worker thread, so I'll write main thread here. I'll save it and I'll run it. So see, receive the message from the main thread, hi from main thread. Okay, that is fine. Now can we send message from worker thread? Okay, so let's send the message, how are you? Okay, now see, since we are sending message from worker thread, that means we have to receive it in the main thread. So in the main thread there should be a worker.onMessage event, okay, that should be listening to that post message. Okay, now this on message will be triggered when worker will be sending this post message. So let's log received from worker thread, and what is the message? e.data, right? It's as simple as that. Okay, so received message from main thread, hi from main thread, and hello from worker thread, and received from worker thread, how are you? See, it's getting printed. Okay, so I think with these two functionalities we can work, right? Because we'll just say, okay, we need the sum of billions. Okay, because this method does not need any arguments, so we'll simply call the worker thread to, okay, start summing up, and whatever the result is, just give me out. Okay, so let's move this function all together. I'll just cut this method and I'll just paste it here. Okay, sum of billions. Now this sum of billion does not exist here. Now what to do? So we'll say, okay, sum of billion, and let's create another matrix, sum of billion. Okay, but what we will do is we'll call the worker thread. Okay, worker to sum up, start sum. Well, see, there is no arguments required for sum of billions, so doesn't matter what we are sending here. We can send anything, keep it blank, anything. Okay, it will work. Now since worker.post message is getting triggered, so this on message will be triggered. So in this on message, let's clean it and now call sum of billion. Okay, now also let's return the sum of it and store the sum in a variable. And now what we'll do, we'll send a message to main thread, okay, that our sum is sum. And if you know, if we have the key value as same, we can just use the shorthand like this. Okay, so we'll send up main thread an object which has got the key value as the sum of the billion terms. It's not billion though. So now this sum of billion is called, worker will be called, and worker thread will start summing up the billion numbers, and it will send back to main thread. And on receiving, see here we will receive the message. So I'll print sum is what? e.data, right? e.data will be the object. Okay, let's see. I'll save all the files. Okay, and let's just quickly run it. Okay, large computation. See, summing up, and I'll change the background. See how beautiful it is. It is also summing up, but the background is changing. Remember, I said this is the functionality we want. This is responsiveness we want, and our website is now responsive. We are able to change the background while the worker thread is doing its job to compute all those sum of large numbers, right? See, we did get the sum. And remember, we printed we printed e.data, event.data, and event.data will be the object. Okay, remember what we are sending, whatever we will send inside the post message, that will be e.data. So here e.data is not a variable, it is just an object. So that's why it is printing like an object here. So if you want to get the sum, we can print the sum, e.data.sum, and that will print the sum of this computation. So I'll again invoke this, I'll change the background, keep on changing it. See, it's working, it's very responsive now, and it's in the background, it is summing up. See, and I'm just able to change the background, and once the sum will be done, it will be thrown to the main thread that okay, this is the sum, and you can print it now. See, it's printing. So basically worker thread needs file name as a parameter, and it uses the worker interface for that, and there is this two methods that you can use for the basic functionalities, and rest you can also refer the documentation. But for these two methods, the on message is triggered when there is a post message called in either of the threads. So if main thread invokes the post message, if this main thread invokes the post message, right, the on message of worker thread will be invoked, and if there is a post message in the worker thread, the on message of main thread will be invoked. Okay, and we can get a hold of the data that is being sent as a post message parameter as e.data, basically in the data property of that event. Okay, so yeah, this is the simplest way I could explain the worker thread and the web workers in JavaScript. So thank you so much.